Jen here, and I am creating my October daily album with you guys today. So this is something I just showed in my haul. It is the CrafTreat Flip Flap Gatefold album. And you can see you get two of them. So you get one in black and one in craft. And essentially you get all of the components. They're pre-scored, and then you just follow the directions to put your mini album together. So I got this from Scrapshots. I will leave Sandy's link down below so you can go and grab these for yourself if you want. This is the this is the second one that I've done. I did my little Be Happy mini album in the summer using one of the folio CrafTreat kits, and then so I grabbed this one now to do the kind of gatefold, and then I also have one that I'm going to do the double folio for my December dailies. So I just have been having a lot of fun doing them, and I thought I would take you guys along for the ride and show you how kind of easy they are to put together and customize. For the most part with this black one, I go ahead and follow the directions and kind of create exactly what it's meant to be. But of course, you know me, I'm going to add my own little personal touches here and there. And I will definitely share with you some of the ideas I have for maybe switching it up a little bit for the craft one, or some of the places where you might be able to have some flexibility and add in your own little personal touches and kind of make your version of this unique to you. The other thing that I think is really great is you get all of the measurements for the papers. So you get sort of like the full measurements, and then you also get the score line measurements. So if you need to add extra pages or add an extra feature of some kind, you can definitely do that by just getting your own cardstock and creating it yourself. Or if you want to make these and then go ahead and use the instructions to recreate it to make more of them, you have that, and it's good quality. Like, it's definitely something that you can keep. It isn't just, printed paper. It's actual like cardstock, nice and thick, and all of the pictures are in color, so that's really helpful too. So if you are more of a reader, you can read the instructions. If you are more of a visual person, you have the pictures. They definitely go hand in hand. There's a few spots, like right now I was noticing in the instructions, it tells you to cut your pattern papers to place on this little center section that I created, but it didn't give me exact measurements for cutting the papers. So I just had to flip to the back of the instructions, and that's where the dimensions for the cardstock itself is. And from there, I just kind of scooched everything in slightly, about that 1/4 of an inch, a little less, I think, than a 1/4 of an inch, just because the size of that album, I think I didn't need such a big border around each of my pages, but I just, found those measurements and knew how to cut. And I've done these enough times to, things similar to this, where I feel sometimes like a broken record when I say it's good to have the measurements, but I always think it's good to take a second to actually look at your specific product. It's paper, right? So sometimes things are off just that slightest bit. Sometimes when you follow the measurements exactly, it just isn't something that looks right to you. So definitely they're there if you need them. But if you want to have larger borders, if you want to have no border at all, you can kind of, personalize it and make it look the way you want it to look. So I put those 3 centerpieces together, and That was really quick and easy. And then now I'm just going to add all of my papers. So I'm using Vicki Boutin's Curiosities in Willow Grove. And that is something I also got at Scrap Shot. So you can definitely grab that there too. There's the 49&Market Vicki Boutin Willow Grove collection, and then I think this is like just a fun little extra add-on, seasonal add-on that you can grab. And it comes with the papers. It also comes with a bunch of punch out sheets, I think 3 sheets of punch outs, and then a sheet of stickers. So all the elements that you need to go ahead and create some layouts, or I think if you have the Willow Grove collection already, you could go ahead and use them kind of in conjunction with each other to add a little bit of Halloween flair. But you can see the colors are very pretty, very fallish, very vintage, and I just thought it would be really fun to work with for my little October daily. I know most of these papers really do lean towards Halloween, so I definitely looked for more of the fall-esque papers, the more solids and the B-sides, just to have nice kind of more neutral, I guess you could say, bases for each of the pages. And then I will add in the embellishments as I need them, and also just pull from my stash for stuff that is maybe more fall and less Halloween. So I didn't show you cutting all of those papers because, you know, I explained you just kind of find those measurements and then go ahead and cut them all out and slap them all down. I did add the 2 extra little accordion pieces. So those also came pre-scored. So you just fold them, add your papers, and then pop them into that center piece. And this is probably the first spot where I think I will try to change it a little bit for my craft one. I feel like having those stuck in the center really made this super bulky. So I don't know if I just need to adjust the margins a little bit so that everything kind of folds nice and doesn't buckle, or maybe move those around so that they don't cause so much bulk in the center. I don't know. But the other thing I was thinking too is that center piece would be a great spot to add a pocket if you needed more space, which I do. When you kind of count all the surfaces that could potentially house photos, there aren't quite 31 surfaces. Now, I will make use of every little flap and, you know, find ways to fit in 31 days. But of course, you know me, I'm probably going to have multiple occasions where I don't just want one photo to represent that day. I'll have a whole series of pictures. So I like to have lots of extra spots where I can throw in some extra photos. And so I think that center spot, you could definitely leave the bottom accordion if you wanted. But I would probably make that a pocket and just cut a little slit or use a circle punch to create like a half circle up in the top and just make that into a pocket and leave that top accordion piece off, or maybe attach that top accordion piece to the bottom one and make that an extra long accordion piece. Those are just the kinds of things that I think if if you make it one time exactly like the instructions and then you go to make it a second time, those are the little places where I might personalize it. So definitely creating some sort of large pocket in this middle back section I think would work really well. So essentially between my polka dot paper and the back, I will make a pocket when I actually put this down on its outside cover, and I think that that'll work okay. I'll be able to stick some extra pictures in there, but because that top accordion piece is on there, you can't really cut the half circle hole that sort of is the visual indicator that it's a pocket and, kind of helps you slide things in and out of it. So I might actually do that on the back, on the actual cover, but it would be on the back. And then I'll just use some large tags. I'll use the tags that are already there and kind of trace them so they're the same size, but make them a little bit longer, and then just make sure that the strings at the top of the tags are sticking out really well, so that you know that there's stuff in the pocket. So I did go ahead and do that, but honestly, you could make the pocket right in here, and I think that would work just as well. And just find another place for that accordion, whether it's on one of these other larger pages, or there's lots of spots where you could add it. The other thing I did here that I'm not entirely sure is what I was supposed to do. You get 2 of these corner pieces for the large corner or the large kind of tag, and for the small one. And I'm pretty sure what you were meant to do is actually stick them together back to back, and then so it makes its own pocket, independent kind of pocket, and then stick it onto the paper so that your tag slides out really easily. I didn't do that. I split them apart and made 2 separate pockets on either side of my album here, like you could see. Same thing with the ones on the outside. It only shows using one of those pockets, so I actually think maybe you're supposed to stick them together, and just it would maybe be helpful for the tags to slide out of or pictures to slide out of, but I separated them, and so I doubled the amount of pockets that I have, which gives me a little more space to throw in some tags. And here you can see this is that background piece, the cover piece, and I am creating my little pocket here. Even if I don't use it, it's still secured really well because of that score tape, which I also got at Scrap Shots, by the way, I should say. So yes, definitely pop in to the store and grab everything you need. But yes, I'm going to have that pocket there. And if I need to, I can throw extra photos in there. I can also use the flaps. I think the flaps will work really well for journaling and stuff too. But yes, that is definitely a spot where I think you could kind of, play around with it a little bit and personalize it. And you can see here when I lift it up, it's already kind of bulky and chunky. So when I was adding this back cover, here you can see I'm trying to open it. It is quite tight. So that's why I think you definitely need some sort of way to indicate you need like a hole punch or something, or even you could just cut a slit and fold the paper back, whatever you want to do to just kind of indicate that there is a pocket back there, and also it would help it all just kind of slide in a bit better. So working on this band, I know that I need it to be just a little bit loose. That is what I was originally going to say. Because this is already bulky, and then you're going to add embellishments, and you're going to add pictures. Don't make the band too tight, and then you have to fight with it every time you try to close your album up and put this band back on. Don't make it too loose, although I think you could probably fix that very easily by just, cutting it and re-sticking it if you need to. But definitely, make it just tight enough that it slides off nice and easy, but there's a little bit of wiggle room because this will bulk up even more once you have it all put together properly. So it's pretty easy, as you can see, to just bring everything together, cut your papers, do your little, personalized sections. I also think, as I was kind of putting this together, you could definitely do the craft and the black one together, maybe stick them back to back so that they actually open from either side and kind of have an album that's extra big that is double-sided, or there's lots of other ways I think you could arrange the papers to kind of make it an album that would be double the size. And in that case, I think I would probably just mix up the craft and the black elements so that it looks more purposeful. It doesn't look like you made one all black and one all craft and then stuck them together. Just kind of mix up all of those elements. And for me personally, I did not cover the black kind of extra elements, I guess you would say. So the pockets and then the band, according to the instructions, you would probably cover those with pattern paper as well. But this is a kind of leaning towards Halloween, and I really like the accent of the black. It just makes all of my pattern papers pop. So it worked for my theme, and so I chose to leave them black. I promise I was not just being lazy. I was doing that intentionally. Because I would normally, if I was doing a layout, probably do a black sketchy line or some sort of border around my layout. And so for me, I feel like leaving some of these black was just giving it that accent that I seem to really like, that I'm kind of drawn to. And because the Vicki Boutin stuff does have some black outlines and the papers kind of lean towards black, in her backgrounds and things, I just thought that worked really well. It's like a nice, bold, grounding color. So I left the pockets black and I left the band black. But by all means, if you want to cover those with pattern paper, you definitely could do that too. And, just tailor it to whatever theme your specific album is. So you can see here the punch out sheets that come with the collection, and they definitely have that really fun kind of vintagey flair. They sort of reminded me a little bit of like old school My Mind's Eye, and even some of the old school Simple Stories and those types of collections from like 10 and 12 and dare I say 15 years ago? Yeah, like that long ago. Remember some of those great kind of vintagey collections? I feel like she maybe pulled some inspiration from those, but I just love the feel that it has and the kind of vintage feel. And the last couple of years, I feel like a lot of the stuff I've been getting leans a little bit more on the cutesy side, which is totally fine. But I kind of liked this too. And it has a few different things too, like the phases of the moon, and there's some moths in there, and like that feather sort of ink and quill. So there's some kind of cool haunted house kind of feeling images and elements that you can pop out. So it's a good collection if you're into this kind of stuff. So I went ahead and did my October daily as my title on that band right there. And then now I'm just going to decorate these two gatefold flaps. I think if this ends up being really super, super chunky, I may strategically cut that band a little bit, kind of take off that central element, and maybe use some magnets to keep it closed so that it can kind of expand a little bit. But we'll see. It might be okay like this. But I definitely think I'll be adding some extra tags and extra pictures and things into those pockets. And I might just have to tone it down a little bit on the embellishments, which I'm okay with that, just to make sure it doesn't get too chunky. But there's definitely plenty of room in this album to get almost all 31 days and like squish in those extra few days that there isn't a lot of room for. So I think it'll be really fun. And my October dailies are always something where it's not usually just a standard album. I've been trying to make them really different and creative and just have a lot of fun with them. So this was definitely like the first thing that I thought of when I saw these and decided this was going to be my perfect October dailies. So I'm really excited to kind of get in there and get going. I already have a week's worth of pictures. I'm using Creative Scrapbooker Magazine's photo prompts for the month to kind of give me some guidance on what to take pictures of so that every day I have something. And I think it'll just be a really fun album. So yeah, I will leave you there. Please go and check out the description box. Go say hi to Sandy. Follow me on all of my socials. I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and here on YouTube. And I really, really appreciate the support so much. It is what lets me have the time to go ahead and do this. So if you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you click that button, leave me a comment, and I will leave you here. So thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to me. To my channel.